Hello everybody. Today I'm going to try and show you how to build a probability distribution. Before I do that, I'm going to bring up two or three ideas about a probability distribution and some notation issues. First of all, in order for something to be a probability distribution, the sum of all the probabilities of the events have to add to 1. Our notation is this. That's the sum. It means you add up all of the probabilities of each one of the events, and they have to sum to 1. Right? Each probability of each event has to be between 0 and 1. Okay, so an individual event can have a probability of 0, which means it won't happen, and a probability of 1, which means it has certainty. Now, suppose you are heading off to Las Vegas for a 2-day trip, and you are trying to determine if it's going to have rain or no rain. So on day 1, your tree diagram would look like this. Your path would be either rain or no rain. So you have the two paths, you have the forks. Okay? And then on day 2, you'd have no rain, rain, no rain, rain. I'll show you that again. So you'd have the no rain, rain, then no rain, rain. N standing for no rain, of course. Now this movie is going to be a little bit longer, so I apologize for that. But you're going to need to get through this entire piece here. Now, suppose that the probability of rain on any one given day during that time frame is 0.10. So notationally I say that the probability of rain is 0.10. The complement, the probability of no rain, would be 0.90. Alright, so if I fill out my chart, and I'm going to redraw my chart below, just much bigger so I can get more detail in there. So I have in my little tree diagram, there we go, the probability of no rain being 0.9 is attached to that branch. The probability of rain is 0.1. And because these events are independent, I didn't say that initially, but I'm saying it is now. That stays 0.9, that stays 0.1, that stays 0.9, that stays 0.1. Okay? So the probability of any one of these full paths is determined by multiplying straight down the path. So this path here is 0.9 times 0.9. This path here is 0.9 times 0.1. This path here is 0.9 times 0.1. This path here is 0.1 times 0.1. Now to build the distribution, we have to think about our random variable x, where x would be the number of days of rain. And so when I build this probability distribution, my x, I need to think about all of the possibilities that could occur. I could have 0 days of rain, 1 day of rain, or 2 days of rain. So 0 days of rain, 1 day of rain, 2 days of rain. Now, to get the probability of 0 days of rain, which is the path no rain, no rain, that's 0.9 times 0.9, which is 0.81. Okay, now, that is between 0 and 1. Okay, and now let's do the path for 1 day of rain, and I should say paths for 1 day of rain, because it's going to be the 0.9 times 0.1 added to the 0.1 times 0.9. So it is 0.18. Okay. Now the 0.1 times 0.1 is going to give us the 0.01. And if you add those three up, you'll get the value of 1. Just be aware that sometimes when you're rounding in the process of building a probability distribution, you'll be a smidge over or a smidge under. That's okay when you're dealing with rounding, but if you do it fractionally, it should always add up to 1. So that's a probability distribution. Now, I'm going to do this real quickly, and I apologize for the lack of professionalism in the videos, but if any of those numbers were negative, it would not be a probability distribution. If any of those numbers were larger than 1, or if the sum was larger than 1, or the sum was way smaller than 1, it would not be a probability distribution.